say. All right. Good evening, everyone. Man, welcome to the Redemption for Life webinar. Welcome to all of our members, folks, visitors, anybody who is tuned in tonight. One, thank you so much, man. It's a Tuesday night. Just got off work. Know you're tired. Got to feed the kids, but you decide to jump on the call with us to talk about taxes, right? A fun topic. We all love to deal with taxes. We all love it.
Fun topic.
Always. And so we're grateful. One, give a shout out to our pastor, Sean Calhoun Sr., for supporting this effort to make sure the community is informed about how to manage finances, right? And being good stewards of our finances through our taxes. And so shout out to him, our pastor, our first lady, all of my church family. If you tapped in, man, say hello, say what's up. This is going to be an interactive call, y'all. All right. And so you can definitely ask questions. I'll have some questions myself. I'll introduce our guest tonight. She'll share with you all some really good tips. She's my personal CPA. I don't know if I can say that. Can I say that? Is that confidential? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I stamp her. Right. I stamp her. She's really good at what she does, very skilled, and a good friend as well. And so I'm excited to present to you all our good friend Ashley Mosby. All right, Miss Ashley Mosby. And so
Moody.
Oh Lord, Moody. My bad, Moody. My bad. Get me right. My apologies, Miss Moody. I'm so used to saying AG, right? But she changed the game now. All right,
I know. We can keep AG. That's fine.
You said what now?
I said we can keep AG. That's fine.
We keep AG. Okay. Good. And so excited for her to share with you all tonight. First, we could not start this thing out without prayer. All right. And so if we could bow our heads, humble our hearts. Father God, we come to you in prayer, Lord. First and foremost, God, thank you so much for this new day. Thank you so much for opportunity, God, to have conversations about finances, God. You said in all things, get an understanding, Father. So help us get an understanding through conversation, through experts, God, on what we need to do as far as our finances, God, our taxes, God. And so we just thank you so much for the resources you provided us, Father. We desire to be good stewards of them, Father, so you may continue to bless us, but also we continue to bless others, God. And so we love you. We praise you. We bless your name and all that we do. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen. All right.
Amen.
All right. And so we got a presentation for tonight. And so, AG, if you want to, would you like to introduce yourself, kind of share some of your expertise,
Sure.
how long you've been in the business, all the good stuff?
Yes. So I'm Ashley Garrison, now Moody. I'm a CPA. I am based out of Memphis. I have my own practice in which we do tax services, accounting services, and IRS tax resolution. I've been in accounting for a long time. I guess over like about 18 years now. I don't know. It's been a minute. Graduated from the University of Memphis, both with my bachelor's and master's in accounting. Worked in the industry. I worked for Fortune 500 company for quite some time. Then I went out on my own, and GRF is going to celebrate its 5th year in the next in about 3 months. We're celebrating our 5th year anniversary. So
awesome. And so I'll go ahead and get your presentation pulled up. We're going to kind of go back and forth on some things as far as tax prep. So if you want to, man, let's dive into the agenda and we'll go from there.
All right. So as you can see on the agenda, we're going to talk about just a checklist, just really high-level things that you're going to always need no matter where you go and what you're filing, the basic things that you're going to make sure that you have with you. Then we're going to talk about some common mistakes and how to avoid them. We're going to talk about your tax filing options, the different options you have, and make sure that the option you take is best fitted for you. And then we'll talk about key deadlines and timelines afterwards. And like Alton said, this is very interactive. So whatever questions you have that is best catered to you and your situation, please feel free to say them, and we'll address them to the best. I'll address them to the best of my ability.
Awesome. And so I'll say this here as well. Hey, Y'all do not go quiet in this chat, y'all. All right. So tap in. If you listen and tap in, say hello, say what's going on. All right. And so man, before we get kicked off, I do want to ask a question. Like what, and before we get kicked off, what got you into this industry? Right. I would love to hear that. Like what got you into this industry? I don't know if I've ever asked you that question before, but like what got you into this space? Just in case you got somebody who wants to get into this space.
Right. It's so funny. It's a failure of the public school system. And I say that because I signed up for like, I think driver's ed or something, right? Something that everybody signed up for. I got kicked out because I didn't have seniority and I got placed into an accounting class. Prior to taking this accounting class, I knew I wanted to be a businesswoman, right? Like I knew growing up, I always wanted to be in business. But this accounting just was like, oh, this is what I like. I want to do this. Thank God I had great teachers that really fed into my talent of being an accountant, encouraged me to be involved. I was in Business Professionals of America. Like, I compete. I tell everybody, like, I went national to compete in accounting. Like, if that's not the nerdiest thing ever, but like I did that. Went into college. I knew the University of Memphis had a really great accounting program, so I went straight there. Never changed my major, just went straight through and went to a fifth year to get my master's. Went straight into the industry. So it's luckily for me, I found it very early, and I kept cultivating it. I kept going through this cycle. I would say that along the journey, I've always been told that accounting is such a good field, like it's a stable field, and I still feel that. And no matter what the economy is doing, or no matter what, there's a need of accountants everywhere, and there's so many different positions. There's so many career opportunities with having an accounting background.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Awesome. Awesome. So I'll go ahead. Thank you for sharing that. I don't think you've told me that. So shout out to the public school system. Yeah. So if you can go ahead, kick us off, starting with individuals and BIC. You got a layout here.
Yes. So right here is just a bit, like I said, very high level checklist for individuals and businesses. You're going to need your ID. You're going to need identification. And when I say current identification, it cannot be expired, and it should have current information. It should have where your filing location and your filing address, and just all the current information, along with, even though I just said ID, your ID can be your state issued driver's license, state issued, any government issued ID, along with your social security number. Most places don't require a social security card, but they might use it as a second form of identification. But most times you just need that valid number. Luckily, if you're doing it online, there is systems that won't accept the return most times if they're not aligned. If your name and social security number are not aligned, they're gonna kick it out. You're also gonna need your income tax forms. I should have put like a space between those. So those are your W-2s. Most of us have W-2s, right? You're gonna need your W-2s. You're gonna need 1099s if you do any kind of contract work, or you're paid from a business on like a contractor level. And K1s if you own or you have any ownership in a corporation, an S corp, or partnership. Your part of that income is issued to you in a K1. So you need all your income documentations. Other things that people don't like, right? When you get your W-2, you're going to upload that. That's no problem. But most people don't think about, your mortgage interest, right? Your mortgage interest statement. If you own a home, that is like the key source document that you need, because if you itemize, if you are able to collect enough of your deductions to qualify for itemized deductions, that mortgage interest statement is going to be the key one there. So your mortgage interest statement, that's also most of them have your real estate taxes paid for that property as well. So that's also, if it's not listed on your mortgage interest statement, make sure you know how much you spent in real estate taxes. Charitable contributions, that's another huge thing when you itemize. Charitable contributions is huge. So make sure you get a statement listed from your church or whatever charity that you donate to. Make sure that you get all of that documentation. Childcare expenses. Childcare expenses are big. What was it? Was it tax year 22, I believe? You were able to write off, I want to say up to $10,000. Do not quote me on numbers, but it was like up to $10,000 of childcare expenses. That was an anomaly. Most tax years it caps around $2,000 to $4,000, but you had that ability. Maybe it was 21. It had to do around pandemic time, so maybe it was 21.
Okay.
Education expenses.
I'll pause you real quick.
No,
When you say itemization,
Mhm.
like what does that mean? Like itemized versus
Right, standard
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
standard deduction. What does that mean?
Yes, every individual is allowed to, they'll say, okay, what's total amount of income you made? Okay, well, for life, just being a human, just being an individual that files taxes, we're going to say part of this does not count. I want to say it's around 15,000 for individuals, somewhere in there, about double that for a married couple, about 25,000 for a head of household. They're going to say this does not count as far as your income. We're not going to tax that part. That is a standard deduction. Everybody qualifies for a standard deduction. Some people have more complicated tax situations in which they can say, no, it actually costs me way more to live, so I deserve to be deducted more. And those itemized deductions, are medical expenses, but medical expenses have to exceed a certain threshold. So a lot of people don't quite qualify for those medical deductions unless they have like a serious medical issue in which they spent, like childbirth. Unless they spent a lot out in a year for medical expenses, they usually lose out on that. But medical expenses, taxes, whether it's state or local taxes, sales taxes, real estate taxes, all of those that are not income taxes, federal income taxes are not deductible. But other taxes outside of that are deductible and included in itemized deduction. Then you have mortgage interest that we just talked about, and you have charitable deductions. Once upon a time, you also had this miscellaneous deductions. Like if you bought uniforms for your like you're an employee and you bought uniforms, or if you like were vandalized and had to come out of cost or something. Those miscellaneous deductions, the 2% cap of miscellaneous deduction have been removed. So that is no longer something that is offered as an itemized deduction.
Okay.
But all those itemized deductions should exceed the standard deduction for your tax status.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity. I sure be like itemized. Okay, which one do I need to do?
Whatever.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
Right. Them right there. Good. Okay. All right. So you're going into the business aspect of it. Feel free. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So that was individuals. The business side of it is more straightforward. I think really we want to know how much you made, how much you lost. Like that's really the bulk of any business filings. Depending on your entity, you might have to disclose a little bit more information than that. But when we talk about income, we just want one solid number. What revenue? What did you sell? What service did you provide? Like what was that total money in for the year? And a lot of times businesses will receive 1099s. So I know we talked about 1099s on the individual side. Businesses also receive 1099s from other businesses. Or they'll receive 1099Ks. Like if you use Stripe or what's another Square or whatever. They'll send you. So you have to be very sure that whatever's on that 1099 is included in your total income, or like, so don't double them. Don't put them in your total income because like I sold to Nike and Nike gave me $10,000. So this is my total income for the year. But Nike also issued me a 1099. So I had their 10,000 in total and I added their 1099. It needs to be separated. It needs to be differentiated so you don't double book your income.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the people can get tied up here, and we're kind of like going through the different sides. But a lot of people get cut up here. If you receive money in any electronic form, whether it is credit card, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, any of that, if it's not cash to cash, the government has proof of it, and they will look for you to make sure that you report it.
No question. Accountability.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, so all your income, annualized summarized expenses. And when I say by summarized, I mean like you just want one number per expense. So an expense, a common expense might be labor, it might be utilities, auto expense, professional services, advertising, but you don't want line by line what you spent. You just want the total of it. Now, if you ever have the unfortunate experience of getting audited, that's when you're going to want the key details.
Yeah.
But when you're providing to a tax preparer, you just want those big numbers.
That's good. That's good. Awesome. Man, so in preparation, right? You don't get some of these documents, you don't get to the end of the year. And then sometimes you get these documents throughout the year. What are some best strategies to ensure that you're prepared once December, January comes, so you're not scrambling trying to find this and find that? Like, what are some best practices to make sure you have all your documents in the right place and ready to submit when the top of the year comes?
I know this might be a not so fond practice, but as soon as you get the document, scan it in, take a picture, whatever, and save it in a folder. Every year you should have a folder on your computer or hard drive or whatever, 2023, 2024 tax forms. Just upload it there. So when they come, you just put it there. That's housed in place. Still, if you can keep the physical copies, that's always best. But as long as you have a picture of it saved or you have it electronically saved, you're really good. But just keep them there. If you own a business, you definitely want to get your numbers in place starting December. Like, and you can't finalize it because December's still going on, but you want to start on it. You want to make sure that you are getting everything, because you're gonna have questions, right? If you're not a steward over this on the ongoing basis, you're gonna have holes in it, and you need to not be rushed to fill those holes. So start at the very latest in December, trying to make sure that you have all of the expenses that you could have possibly poured into that business down. Make sure you have it recorded. Make sure you have all the income that has been brought in. Make sure you have that recorded.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And then if you see at the bottom, you can find a full list of the checklist on my website, www.grffinancials.com. For the individual, it is tax dash checklist, and for the business, it is business dash tax. But you can go to the menu and find them. Like, you don't have to type in it exactly, but you can find them.
Awesome. Cool. Common filing mistakes, right? So, and you see this all the time, right? Yeah. And as we go into it, I know you're gonna lay out some of those things, but what are the ramifications, and even how do filing mistakes happen? You know what I mean? Like, how does it even transpire? But go ahead, go through your piece. But
I would say, what are the ramifications? Jail time.
Oh Lord! Oh man,
that's extreme, right? That's extreme cases, but we've all heard it, right? Tax evasion, you're like locked up. Wesley Snipes is probably one of the most famous, but there are many people. If you're familiar with Al Capone, they never got him on like any criminal charges. They got him on tax evasion. Like, so the IRS is not gonna play about you reporting their money. But most commonly, you're gonna be hit with penalties and charges. It's just going to make life a little bit more difficult for you and require you to spend more money than you had to.
Yeah.
I think the most common reason why tax mistakes happen is because people are they're not serious about it, right? Like, it's something that they don't quite understand. They have a little fear and hesitation about it. So it's more like, I'm going to let this person take care of it, or I'm not gonna just put down something, or I want the biggest refund ever, so I don't even care. Like that's most of the time why a lot of people end up in bad situations.
I got you. Okay. Okay. So what's some of the common things? What's some of the common things you see on a season to season basis on filing mistakes?
So for those that are really trying to do the right thing, that are actively trying, I see that they don't file during the due date. And if they file after the due date, they're not putting in the extension. An extension is free as far as the government goes to file, right? You're going to probably pay a tax preparer or whatever to file it, but it's a no charge automatic 6-month extension. So if your return is due on April 15th, you've now gotten to October 15th to file it. Like it's automatically gives you 6 extra months. What it does not stop is it does not extend the date to pay. So your interest starts on April 15th. That doesn't extend like, oh, you got more time to pay. No, your interest is going to start, but you have more time to file. When you don't file timely, that penalty is ridiculous, and it's just like so stupid. Like to not file, it's frustrating because your interest is so much smaller than the failure to file penalty.
Right. I've been there.
It's crazy. So if you can't get it done by the due date, please put in your extension.
Yeah.
Again, not reporting on income. Like I stated further, a lot of people think, oh, well, I just got, we do a lot of side hustling, right? Like we all do it. Give me $500, cut your grass, $500. But if they get, and a lot of times let's be clear, the IRS usually is not looking at like too small a fish, right? They're going after the big people that are getting millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you get tipped off, or they find out a reason to look at you and they see that you have all this activity, but it's not reflective in your tax return, that can cost you hugely. And then that gives the IRS the opportunity to make up a story about you. So they see came in and it went out, but because you reported nothing, they're making up the story that you just have this in and you have no expenses, and so you owe taxes on all of it. Instead of creating your own story for the IRS.
That's good.
Missing key deductions, not thinking about. Let's see, I was with a client the other day, and he did not have his real estate taxes. And it wasn't until after we filed, he was like, "Oh, but I pay all these taxes in real estate." I was like, "But you didn't upload them." So, like, why didn't you include that in your numbers? Like, it's just missing key deductions. And that goes into making sure that you have really good books and not waiting until the last minute to file. And just being communicative with your tax preparer and making sure. I see all the time, it's like, do not talk to your tax preparer. Don't wait to find a tax preparer until January. Like, start now. Have those conversations now. Get into what your business needs as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Filing an incorrect filing status. What I've seen a whole lot is that people will file head of household when they're
married. It down, man. This head of household, joint, separate. That I ain't gonna lie. It be putting me in the ring. I'm like, okay,
what? So you stated all of them. You can either do single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, or head of household.
Okay.
Single, that's self-explanatory. It's just you. Don't have to worry about anybody else. It's just you. If you're married, you only have 2 options. And this is where I said the common mistake is, because they think that they have that third option. They don't. You have 2 options. Either you're married filing jointly, or you're married filing separately. You cannot claim head of household. Head of household is the most advantageous way to file. You get less, like I said, with the standard deduction, you get less standard deduction than a married filing jointly, but more than a just straight up single person, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to certain credits, you get right there in that middle point. You're less than a married filing jointly, but you're better off than a single individual. But a person that is actually married and living a married life, and I say that because if you actually have separated from the home of your spouse and you maintain a separate home, but you guys are married, then you can claim head of household if you have a dependent. Let me be clear. The difference between a single person and a head of household is a dependent, right? Yeah. So that's why it's a little bit more advantageous. You're a head of household, you're maintaining the household. You can live in the same residence as someone else. Like say you share a house with your sister or something, and both you guys have your own individual dependents, you both still can be head of household as long as you guys are not married and combining of tax returns or tax obligations.
That's wild.
Did I clear that up?
Yes, you did. But it's like that.
Okay.
All right, okay. So why would a couple, married couple, file jointly, and then why would they file separately?
Yes.
What's the difference between the two?
So married filing jointly is very advantageous. It helps. It just opens the world up tax wise for you, right? It's just like
open the world up.
It opens it up for you.
Yeah.
It's always it's very much so a very advantageous way to file. You get higher like limitations when it comes to like phasing out of certain credits or taxes. You get treated more favorably, right? Married filing jointly.
Gotcha.
However, and it kind of like if you have a high earner and you have a low earner married, like that's beautiful because you get the benefit of two high earners when it comes to marriage, like the filing status, right? Most people file separately if one person is in tax debt, or owes child support, and they're not going to get a refund.
Hey man, call it like you see it. Ain't no weird. Hey, look, I'm telling you, look, it's some little jokers running around here, man. I know a few folks on child support.
You know, so if they're not going to get their refund back, and you're in a situation where you're going to get a refund, you might file separately. You're going to get less of a refund, right? But it's a separate thing.
I got you.
And or if a person's just they're not being a real good steward over their taxes, and like my husband, you're not paying taxes, you hadn't taken no withholdings or anything, your tax situation is completely crazy. I don't want my name or energy tied into that. File separately. It's going to be adverse to me because filing separately is less than being single or being head of household. But I don't want my tax situation tied up with yours.
Understood. I think it's really good because I think you hear all these terms, and here's the reality is here's what I also realized. When people come to see you or another tax professional, they more than likely haven't talked to anybody during that time period. That's the first time they've talked to anybody about tax, and and so now you're word vomiting,
right?
Trying to get an overall understanding of what they need in that moment, or over a week period of time, collecting documents, and there's a lack of understanding and education there.
Absolutely.
And so I thought about that while you were talking, like, man, I know it's a little bit different with how I kind of file, but most people, they're gonna go and that's their first time ever talking to somebody about the taxes during that year.
Agreed. So that's why you should probably talk to your tax, especially if you have a more complicated situation. Schedule a tax strategy call or a tax planning call with your tax preparer if they're available.
That's good. And so is this, if y'all could, man, if y'all listening in, is this good, man? You feel like you're getting some information?
Okay.
Drop some in the chat if you enjoy. Yeah, Alonzo just walked in. He finna. So, all right, let's go to the next slide. So, tax filing options.
Okay. All right. So, when it comes to tax filing, right, you are kind of bombarded. I know even now I've seen a lot of different advertisements for a lot of different things, right? And you don't know what to do and where you go. I kind of rank these on where I would start to where I wouldn't start. And one I kept off completely because I say run. The first is a tax professional, a CPA or EA. And I'm going to break that down for you. A CPA is a certified public accountant. That can encompass a whole lot. What that means is that this person is board certified, they're board governed, and they have been tested and have passed on all things accounting. So not just taxes. We're talking about taxes, auditing, just business information, business law, like all things taxes. I mean, accounting, right? And that's the distinction I have. CPA, like that is the top grill of accountants. An EA, however, is a specialized individual specifically for tax.
Okay.
So that person, that might be a good option for you because they simply know taxes, right? So it depends on your need and what you feel comfortable with. But those are your tax professionals that you would go to. Understand that you're going to those individuals that might cost more for those individuals. And I say might because the option that I left off, I've seen that they charge way more than me, and I'm like, I'm losing out. But your second option is like a H&R Block, I said more money taxes. I know we don't go there no more, but just a tax shop.
Yeah.
So I'm not urging you to go to more money taxes, but something like that, like a place where you can go in, you can speak with somebody, they do your taxes right there in front of you, you know, you bring out your documents. That's kind of the world that our parents lived in, right? Like I remember going to my mama and sitting in H&R Block, like, but it's a good option for those that don't have such a complicated tax file and tax situation, but they don't feel comfortable in doing it themselves. Right? They want someone else to do it, but their situation is not super complicated. And I just want to say with those individuals, a lot of times the company has the certifications or the know-how or whatever, right? But the individuals that are probably doing it only took like a class or so with the company. So they're probably not the best educated on tax situations. Your third one is self-filing. File for yourself, right? Go on turbotax.com. Like H&R Block online, yeah. A lot of times, especially if you're before I started doing taxes, I was doing mine online for free most of the time. Maybe I had to pay like $30 or something for a specific form. It really guides you through very well. If your tax situation is not complicated, pretty straightforward, you got a job, maybe you got a kid, it's kind of straightforward. Those are good if you feel comfortable with inputting the information yourself. And then you have government-backed volunteer programs. These are usually targeted, and that's the reason why I put it kind of last. They're usually targeted for those of lower income. So you can't be in there making hundreds of thousands of dollars and say, give me some free tax services, right? They're usually catered to maybe the elderly or the low income individuals. And the one that I did not include is your sister baby mama Tracy doing your taxes. They also got their hair and do hair on the side. Yeah. Those you should avoid.
Yeah, definitely. Man, so I thank you so much for that breaking it down. So we got somebody in the chat. Got a question. It says, I feel like there are a lot of EAs on YouTube and they're always speaking on loopholes and write-offs and not to go to a CPA for this. Like, why is that? Like, why is there a feuding, if you will, between the two? Yep.
I don't know. And I actually spoke on this on my Instagram, like maybe last year or so. It's one EA in particular, like he hates CPAs, and I don't know what his problem is. As you can see right in my list, I said CPA or EA, and I highlighted like what makes them different and special. And as I said, that could be really the best choice for you, right? An EA. I don't know what. So an EA is an IRS designated individual. The level of education and testing that they have undertaken is much less than what a CPA has done. Like it's similar to a doctor in I don't know, like a
nurse.
Like a what?
A doctor and a nurse, or a doctor and a bachelor's degree.
Like a less than a nurse. It's
CNA.
Yeah, like you know how to take your pulse, and you can get this person heart moving, but you're not a doctor. So it's not the same, but in certain situations they could really work for you. And then when it comes down to if that EA has been practicing for years and they're really a good business person, then absolutely go to them. But I don't understand why they don't want CPAs to win. I don't know. I have no idea.
Shout out to all my CNAs out there. All right. Shout out to all my CNAs, nurses, and doctors. Shout out to all y'all. Man, so I gotta be silly real quick.
Mhm.
Man, I saw an Instagram post. I don't care how hard you fold your arms, you're not filing my taxes.
Right.
I don't know why that came to my head, but that always come to mind.
And that post me the hard because my first business pictures, I definitely was like this.
Oh man, okay. How hard you fold your arms, you not filing my taxes. That tell you that always be in my head. So but good
But
question.
I would say also be wary about I follow a lot of Instagram tax professionals because I like to be informed on what other people are being informed on.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're halfway right, but that's not the full picture. A lot of times it's like you kind of got it, but this.
Yeah.
So be wary.
Yeah, man, and also so for our gig, this is a huge gig economy, like gig, like side hustles, gigs. So, what advice would you give to those individuals, like those freelancers? You know, they do a gig here, do a gig there. What would you advise them on filing their taxes as well?
Absolutely. Keep track of everything. Every bit of dime that you spend on creating that gig, whether it's traveling to and from wherever, buying equipment or office supplies or whatever money that you use to feed into your business, keep track of it. If you're using your cell phone, that is now a business expense. If you are like using your internet, that is a business. Like keep track of all things that are feeding to make that gig work. And also at the same time, don't rely on Uber or whatever to give you your 1099, because just because you didn't receive it does not release you from the responsibility of reporting that income.
Yeah.
So keep track of what you made.
That's good. Thank you for answering that question.
No problem.
Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Key deadline. Well, we're gonna get to key line. We'll get the key deadline. That's really good.
Okay.
Man, so when it comes to even you got individuals who have a LLC, they don't have a company at all, they have an S corp, a corporation. Like, how do I decide which one I need to file? Like high level, I know we can go in deep, but
It
like
can definitely go.
it's
Yeah.
so many businesses I can file. Like, how do I know which one to go with?
So if you do anything for the purpose of making a profit, that is a business. You do not have to have a certain LLC. You don't have to have, file certain documents. If you participate in anything with the intention to make profit, that is a business. Hence, back to what we said about Al Capone. Absolutely, he did not file an LLC, right? But he was making profit that he did not file with the IRS, right? So if you just wake up today and start baking cakes and selling them, you need to keep the IRS, whether you are making a profit or you're losing. But if your purpose is to make a profit, you need to report to them how much you made and how much you've spent in that business, even if it's operating at a loss. Okay.
So I don't have to have a business at all. I can just be making money, record my expenses, record my profit.
But that is a business, is it not?
Okay, it is.
It's a business. It might not be a legit business. It might not be a business entity, but it's a business.
Okay.
Yeah. The point of making a business entity such as an LLC or corporation, and you do that at a state level, the purpose is to separate and legitimize that business separate from the owner.
Okay.
I'm saying GRF Financials is its own business. So if Ashley goes out and drives her car into somebody, they cannot go after.
Don't do it, AG.
I'm not gonna do it, Lord, please. But they can't go after GRF. I'm not a lawyer, cannot give legal advice, but the idea is that GRF Financials is separate from Ashley Garrison. Like those are two separate things.
Gotcha.
When you were talking about LLC, I know that's a hot topic. Everybody's LLC. You have two different options for most states. It can go a little bit more in detail, but high level, you got two different options: LLC or corporation. S corporation is not a tax entity. I'm sorry, Lord. It's not a state entity. Okay. You can't go to the state of Tennessee and say, I want an S corp. You can either get an LLC or some kind of distinction of that, or corporation or some kind of distinction of corporation, right? Okay. just know that once you make a separate entity, that comes with responsibilities.
Yes.
Not only do you have to make sure that you are recording this income on your federal returns, you also have state obligations. You have to renew your LLC or corporation in the state of Tennessee. Every state is different, but in the state of Tennessee, you have to renew it annually. For LLCs, that annual cost is at least $300. It increases depending on the amount of members or the amount of owners for LLC. It can increase, but the minimum is $300. For corporation is $30 every year. You have to make sure that you register with the Tennessee Tennessee Revenue Department, and make sure that you're paying business taxes and franchise and excise taxes. All of these are necessary once you decide to form that entity. It was not necessary. Well, business taxes were, but everything else was not necessary until you form that legal entity.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's and then so all right. So do they go to? Can they create this on their own?
Yeah,
We need to create. Do they need to go to somebody to create an S corp or LLC?
not can you create on your own? Absolutely, right? No, don't do it. Not S corp, for sure. Not S corp.
Okay.
As far as an LLC or corporation, yes, you can. I would seek a professional such as myself to do it, because you're going to do the entire, I would do the entire thing. So not only get your LLC, but I'll make sure you register for your state taxes. I'll make sure you have an EIN, that your EIN properly reflects your entity, your legal status. And then let's see. And your business license. All of that is included in my package. Whereas if you go and try to do it yourself, you could be missing out on things, or they possibly won't properly feed to one another. You might have a single member LLC, but you register for a partnership EIN. I've seen that a lot.
Got you. That's good. That's good. Cool. Let's jump to the deadlines, and then we're going to take questions from the crowd. And then I got a few more questions for you. Go ahead.
Okay. So January 31st, if you're a business owner and you pay contractors, make sure you're getting your 1099s. And on the reverse side of that, if you've done some contractor work, you should be in the lookout for your W-2s and your 1099s around this time as well. January 31st, beginning of February, you should be looking for those tax documents. If you have an S corporation or a partnership, a lot of people don't know this when they first start. Those deadlines are a month before your personal deadline. So that is March 15th, that deadline. You absolutely do not want to wait till March 15th to get your information in and start the filing process. But no, that is the deadline. And if you're not going to file by then an extension needs to be filed on your behalf. April 1st, if you have an LLC or corporation or any kind of legal entity like that, this is taking into account a normal calendar year business or individual. But your state annual filings, renewing your LLC, renewing your corporation is April 1st. If you are an individual or corporation, your tax filing is due April 15th. And we're all familiar with that date, April 15th. I have a more detailed deadline list at grffinancials.com.
Awesome. Man, so as we go into this process, man, what are some things that people who have businesses, that they can file? Well, let me ask you this from a business standpoint. What do business owners need to be kind of aware of? Like, what do they need to kind of watch out for as a business owner? And then also, what's some stuff that's like they end up like not filing that they can? Like, you could have wrote this off. Oh, yeah.
What I'm gonna say, what they need to watch out for, you just really need to make sure, for not just for tax reasons, but just for good operations in your business, you really need to be over and on top of your monthly or weekly or however often you do it. But you need to be on top of your finances. You need to make sure that you have recorded and understand every income source, and every month, all money in and all money out. You need to be able to record that properly and understand where it's going or where it came from. That not only helps the tax process go much easier, and for you to be able to plan for that tax process, right? but also it allows you to make good managerial decisions. If you know how you're performing, okay, well, March was a good month because I sold this product. Maybe I'll sell more of this product because you can just make managerial decisions such as that.
Yeah.
Deductions that I think that a lot of people might overlook. It really depends on the tax situation. If you're kind of more on the beginning stages, I would say that a common one is like the use of your car, use of your cell phone, use of the internet, those type of things that you're already paying, right? Like, I already pay that. But if you're using it in the course of creating a profit, those can be expenses against the income that you're bringing into your business.
Okay.
If you're more on a larger scale, it's really, like I said, if you're not taking the time to catch everything, that's where you're going to really lose your deductions.
I got
you. Know that you can write off your utilities or whatever, but if you paid out this or you paid out of your pocket versus paying with the business card, you're losing deductions and expenses that way.
I got you, man. So let's talk about, and we're going to wrap it up here. Hey, if y'all have any questions, drop them in the chat. Thank y'all so much for staying on as well. I did some really good information, and if I would have known this, I wouldn't have been on what's the online one. What's the online one that you not QuickBooks? What's the online tax thing that Tax TurboTax?
TurboTax, yeah.
Man, I must have jacked. I mean, years ago, I did TurboTax. Man, I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about right now. But this is a lack of education. But ever since I've worked with a CPA, worked with a tax professional, like Ashley, it's just been a game changer. And so I encourage you all. Thank you, Mikhail. She let me know it's TurboTax. Thank you, Kel. I appreciate you. And so I think it's important for us to be knowledgeable, have the information, but also have a person we can contact. So tools for business owners. What tools can they use to make sure they manage their books throughout the year? So even individuals as well.
Yeah. Well, I can't really speak on individuals. Really,
Okay.
maybe I don't. I'm a QuickBook Pro advisor, right? So that means that I'm strictly 100% QuickBooks. Like, I've been certified by them. I always steer people to QuickBooks, but there are free options. Free usually means that it's not as well put together as it, but it's still like when you're starting off, you don't have to dedicate $50 a month to a financial to a bookkeeping site, especially if you're not going to utilize it. So I want to say maybe Sage. I don't know if Sage is free. Try Xero with a X. That's Xero with the X, so Xero. Or just Google free bookkeeping, online bookkeeping, something like that. There are definitely many options. There was Mint. Mint was what I used when I was not had a business. I did use Mint to try to keep up with my finances. That's an option too. For me, good old spreadsheets work. They do. They're amazing for me.
Good old spreadsheets.
Right. PCI compliance on QuickBooks. Help me out. What is a PCI compliance?
Let's see.
Payment card, set of requirements and business policy. It's to make sure that the credit card, the information that I guess when people are paying you, they're keeping the information secure. Or I'm thinking that's what you're asking. I don't know about the PCI compliance for sure, but I have used it in many different ways to process all types of payments, whether it's money coming in or me giving money out. And I've not once had any issues with it. Any data leaking or whatever. That QuickBooks is the top tier of business accounting. Like they invest a lot in making sure that their company is operated correctly. So if I was to feel safe with any kind of like my credit card being secured, it would be with QuickBooks. I hope I answered that question correctly.
I think you did. I think you
Okay.
did. Well, good. Well, man, y'all, this has been really good. I appreciate, even though I work with you every year, it's been really good. I really appreciate you taking time and just
I didn't know you had these questions for me, Alton.
Hey, come on, man. You know, I come with, I gotta ask some questions. I come with some heat, man. Yeah, but no, you answered them very well. I think you did an amazing job. I recommend Ashley as a CPA. She does some phenomenal work. And so if you all need a resource, her contact information is here. Please feel free to reach out. Any questions, I'm sure she don't mind answering them. And within boundaries, right? And so sometimes people start asking questions like, "Oh, okay, all right,
I need a consultation, but
need a consultation." But also, like, we do things the right way. Ashley's an ethical person, and I think in this industry, you run into people who aren't ethical.
Absolutely, million times.
Right, who will give you as much money as you want, right? And so
you can't find them next year when the IRS coming after you. Can't find them.
Come on, building then shut down. They didn't bought a building, put their name on there. And so thank you so much. Y'all, thank y'all for joining on. Thank you for answering your questions. This will be a webinar. It'll be available for you all to view at any time. And so you're more than welcome to watch it anytime. Thank y'all so much. I would be remiss if I did not invite you to join and be a part of the Redemption for Life family. We meet on Sundays, of course, at 10:30. We out by 12:30, 12:15 sometimes. Pastor, he said, all right, y'all, I see y'all. But
I've been a couple of times and I stand by that.
Come on, it's stamped. But we have a good time, the time that we are there. And so I welcome you all. If you do have a church home, if you don't have a church home, you're just looking for an opportunity to connect with the family, with the ministry. We're excited to have you. The address is 868 Meager Street in Memphis, Tennessee, 38108. And so feel free to join us. It's 10:30 on Sundays. We have Bible study on Thursday at 7 a.m. right here on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll continue to have these conversations going on. So, AG, thank you so much. Congratulations to you and your husband and the newlyweds, right? Say, hold on now. I earned this right. Congrats to you all, and blessings to you and your family. Y'all, thank y'all so much. Hope you have a
name. Guys, thank you for having me, Alton. Thank you for always being an advocate for me. Appreciate it.
No doubt, girl. All right, man. Peace.
Bye.